cut the Sichos into pieces, but it didn't work this time. But we're going to learn selected excerpts from the Sichos. So on Parshas Terumah, there's a classic mitzvah. It's the mitzvah of the building the Beis Hamikdash. And the Rambam is one of the few Sfarim that La Halacha speaks about how one builds the Beis Hamikdash. So he says, he quotes from the Rambam, and the Sikh is going to go into a lot of details and questions. We're going to skip all those details and questions. Those that learn Project Likutei Sichos, this is part of your project. You're going to be able to learn it throughout the week. But we're just going to get to the point having to do with the connection with the future redemption. It says, Bereish Perek Dal Milchus Beis Abchira, at the beginning of the 4th chapter of the halachas of the chosen house, which is the name that the Rambam calls the laws of the Beis Hamikdash. After the Rambam mentions the objects and items that are found in the Holy of Holies in the Beis Hamikdash, then he says, there was a rock that was in the Kodesh Kadoshim in the western area, that upon that rock, the Orain was placed. So the Rambam continues and writes, when Shlomo Melech built the Beis Hamikdash, and he knew that eventually it will be destroyed. He built a place to hide in it, the Aron below, in concealed places, amukos, deep places, balkalkalois, and in winding and twisting places. That's what Shlomo Melech already prepared when he built the Beis Hamikdash. Yeshiyahu HaMelech tziva v'gonzai b'makom shebana Shlomo. Eventually, Yeshiyahu HaMelech, this was still before the destruction, but things weren't looking, I guess, so good. So Yeshiyahu HaMelech commanded, and they hid the Aron b'makom shebana Shlomo in the place that Shlomo HaMelech built. Shenamar, like it says, by Yomer, that Yeshiyahu HaMelech said, L'Levim HaMevinim L'Chol Yisrael HaKadoshim L'Hashem, that he told the Levim that understand, to all the Jewish people that are holy for Hashem, Tnuas Aron HaKodesh B'Bayis Shebana Shlomo Ben David Melech Yisrael, place the holy ark in the room that Shlomo Melech, the son of David, King Yisrael, built. Ein L'Chem Masa B'Kosev Asa, you do not have any more the job of carrying on the shoulders. Ivdus Hashem Elokeichem, serve Hashem your God. The Nignas Imay, and along with the Aron was hidden Mata Aaron v'chulu, the staff of Aaron, v'chol elu le'chazru b'yasheni. All of these things were not afterwards in the second Beis Hamikdash dug out or removed from these underground twisting tunnels, but these remained where they were. Even the Urim B'Tumim, in the times of the second Beis Hamikdash, they did not have the Ruach HaKodesh property to respond. Now we're going to skip over many different questions that the Rebbe asks, and essentially the Rebbe says in part of the Sikha that the main part or the main idea is that the Aron is not just one of the other vessels of the Beis Hamikdash, but really the Rebbe comes to the conclusion that the Aron is actually part of a core building of the making of the building of the Beis Hamikdash. So we're going to skip over a few pages to Ois Hey. Rambam, what the Rambam wrote to Beis Shlomo Sabayis Chulu, when Shlomo Melech built the Beis Hamikdash, Bonim by Makim Lignis by Ha'aron Chulum, he built in it a place. He initially built in the Beis Hamikdash this underground caverns in which to conceal in it the ark. Ein kavanos lachriya eichen nignas Ha'aron. his intention of the Rambam is not to bring to a conclusion where the Aron was concealed. But it might have like they spoke about earlier in the Sikha, what was passed, it was passed. La halacha, there's no benefit of the knowledge of this. He's coming to tell you that this is a new halacha having to do with the actual building of the Beis Hamikdash. The hiding away of the Aron was not just something that was like temporary and without a choice, that they had no option, they had no other way how to go about it, but rather it's something that was done. And the building of the Beis Hamikdash was initially established that the Aron should have two locations in the Beis Hamikdash. Aleph, Makim Golui, Al Even Ashsiya B'Kodesh HaKadoshim, a revealed place on the Even Ashsiya. It's called the rock from which the entire world was built from in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. That's the rock that we initially learned that the Aron was placed on initially. But another place that was initially when the Beis Hamikdash was built, that was designated for the Aron is Beis Makim Avur Gnizasai, a place that was meant to be concealed, the Aron Lamata Mikodesh Kadoshim, beneath the Holy of Holies, Matmunias Hamukas Kolos, in concealed places, deep and twisting. And even this location where the Aron was concealed is part of the Beis Hamikdash itself. It's not some outside place where the Aron was concealed. Leibmaris means to say, the concealment of the Aron. It's not something additional to the Beis Hamikdash, that this place where the Aron was hidden, these winding caverns beneath the Beis Hamikdash, is not just some additional place that was necessary in case and when it would be necessary to hide the Aron. Elazeu din bebinyan abayis, this is halach in the actual building of the Beis Hamikdash. Yishem shal tzorech shleimus hamikdash yesh hechad shivon and makim kodesh kadoshim shebo yamed Aron b'ofen golui. Just like for the sake of the completion of the Beis Hamikdash, there's a necessity that there should be a place, which is the Holy of Holies, and over there the Aron will be standing and set in a revealed way. So the Beis Hamikdash needs in a place that's concealed in the Holy of Holies, Avur Ha'aron, a place that has a concealment, an area that's made for the Aron. And this assures the everlasting nature of the Holy of Holies, because the Aron is a primary core of what makes the Kodesh Kodashim Kodesh Kodashim. If there wasn't a designated location of the Aron that relates to the Kodesh Kodashim, it would like remove the Kodesh HaKadoshim power and capability. And then after Yeshua Melch's times, or in the second Beis Hamikdash, there would not be a real Kodesh HaKadoshim, because what makes the Kodesh HaKadoshim is the Aron, as the Rebbe explained earlier in the Sikha, the part we skipped. Zel Pirish Divrei Rambam, this is the meaning of the Rambam's words. When Shlomo Melch built the Beis Hamikdash, and he knew that eventually it would be destroyed. He built in it a place to conceal the Aron. Heaven forbid, it's not the intention, the matter that Shlomo Melech built this underground cavern on his own view and by his own decision. During its building, he had to know that it would be destroyed. When it's and he was commanded by Hashem, and he built a place where the Aron would be concealed. Since the Aron has to be specifically in the Holy of Holies, If you would have just dug a place beneath the Beis Hamikdash, by Hashem's command, without knowing the reason for it and the purpose of it, Azai haya nimtza shebe'eis binyan lo niskadish hamokim betur mokim lekidusha sa'od, and so then it would have come out that at the time of the building it was not sanctified as a place for the holiness of the Aron b'kodesh hakadoshim. Therefore, lefichach hidgish Rambam. Therefore, the Rambam emphasizes that Shlomo knew that eventually it will be destroyed. And therefore, he built a place that he would conceal the Aron over there. And initially, Shlomo built a hiding place for the sake of the Aron. Skip the brackets. Therefore, it's understood that he sanctified it and made it as a place for the Aron, and therefore automatically a place of the Holy of Holies, etc. Okay, the Rebbe goes on in some more details about Yoshiyahu HaMelech and so on, and we'll skip over further a little bit to Ois Ches. According to all the above, comes out a novelty and a wonder. Loirak bekesher l'shleimus milas kedush sabayis sheni shegam bezmanu yakosh kadoshim b'shleimusay va'aron b'kaimay. Not only was the second Beis Hamikdash, was it had a similar holiness to the first Beis Hamikdash. Even at times of the second Beis Hamikdash, the Holy of Holies was complete, and the Aron was in its place because it had a designated place in the second Beis Hamikdash as well. But this is also explained, also an advantage in the holiness of the first Beis. Though externally, the first Beis Hamikdash was not an everlasting building. There was possible to be, and there was eventually a destruction of the first Beis Hamikdash. In the Bepnimius, top of the second column, internally, also in the first Beis Hamikdash was placed a matter of an everlasting nature. In the first Beis Hamikdash, there was a place of concealment that in it there was no destruction. And the Aron is in its place even up till this day. Let's skip the paragraph 2 test. According to this, is added a new depth in the connection between the three Bate Mikdash, the first, second, and the final one. It's not that there are three Bate Mikdash that are completely separated, that have some type of connection one with the other, because the second came to replace the first, and the third is the ultimate replacement for the previous ones. Rather, primarily, they are one place. They are one home. They are one house of Hashem. Beis Hamikdash Hasheni v'chein Hashlishi einam bayis chodesh b'chelik ikti. In a primary portion and primary part of the Beis Hamikdash, the second and third are not some new thing over the first. Rather, the second and third Beis Hamikdash is just the first one that's, if you will, remodeled, rebuilt, renewed. Already in the building of the first Beis Hamikdash was established something that is both for its time and for future times. For the second and the third Beis Hamikdash, meaning in the first Beis Hamikdash we already have the everlasting nature of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the everlasting nature of the Aron always being there. Yes, Shloimar, so the Rebbe connects it with something else having to do with Mashiach's times. In a similar vein, it's concerning the resurrection of the dead. It doesn't mean that then will be created totally new bodies for us to inhabit. The bodies will be rebuilt from this tiny bone called luz. This bone is etzem haguf shelifneze, is the very essence of the body that was in the person prior to Tchias HaMesim. That in that bone, the Chazal say that is never destroyed, that remains even after thousands of years being buried in the ground. So it's the same type of idea. It's the same person that is becoming alive in the times of Mashiach as the person that passed away 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. Same vein is what the idea that Shlomo Melech built a place under the Beis Hamikdash, under the Kodesh HaKadoshim, to conceal and to hide the ark in it. Makim ha'aron hua etzem ha'ikar kanal shel Beis Hamikdash. The place of the Aron is the essence, the primary part of the Beis Hamikdash, like we said earlier. Just like that bone is like the etzem of the body beforehand, the essence of the body beforehand. At this level, it's not possible to be any type of destruction, any type of loss in the essential core place and location of the Aron. And menu, and from that, Binyan Hamikdash Hasheni Vashlishi, is the rebuilding of the second and third Beis Hamikdash, just like from this luz bone, that from that luz bone is rebuilt the entire body. So really, it's a continuation of that previous body that the person inhabited. It's not a new body. The same thing, the third Beis Hamikdash and the second Beis Hamikdash are not new things. They're a continuation and they're a rebuilding from the essence of the Beis Hamikdash that has the Aron concealed under it in caverns. This halacha in Rambam also expresses wondrous things in the general idea of the destruction and the exile. Beis Hamikdash mitzad atzmai einoi roi shetir bo afsharus leinin shel churban. The Beis Hamikdash on its own is not appropriate that there should be any possibility for destruction. It's impossible that the goyim on their own power by themselves should have any type of control. Heaven forbid in the Beis Hamikdash, that's a home for Hashem. The fact that in actuality there was a possibility for the Beis Hamikdash to be destroyed, that's because in the Beis Hamikdash itself, at the time of its building, already in the Beis Hamikdash, it was built in the possibility for destruction. But of course, it wasn't total destruction. It's not like in modern day products that we say that they're built in obsolescence. They're built, they have the possibility to be destroyed. That's also similar to what we say, that concerning a Jewish person in general, the guy on his own has no control over him. Only if the Yid, through his actions and activities, gives and allows for some type of room for this. You say to him is even more so. Not only is it impossible that a guy should have any control over a Yid, also even the heavenly court we know, they have no control over a Yid. The the judgment that even the heavenly court pronounced on a Yid has to be by the agreement of the Yid. Like it's known that the Baal Shem Tov explains that when a Yid goes to the Bezin Shalmailam, they ask him about a hypothetical case. If a person were to do such and such, what should be done with him? And the neshama answers, this is what the punishment should be, and so on. So then they point to him and they say, well, you did this and this. So obviously the punishment you have just now pronounced on yourself. So much because Rambam, this is what the Rambam wrote. What's the possibility for the destruction of Beis Hamikdash? Shloimeh Hamikdash is because the time that Shloimeh Melch built the Beis Hamikdash, not only did he know already that eventually it'll be destroyed, he inserted and established in the building itself as the room and the possibility for its destruction. He built in it a place to hide the Aron. Avol from the very fact Shabizman Binyan Beis Hamikdash at the time of the building of the Beis Hamikdash, Yachad im Kol Simcha, along with the entire joy, Shahais Beislavas Hagdola Shahais of great excitement that took place then. Where was Shlomo Melech's mind at? He should have been preoccupied with the joy in the building. What was his thought? His thought was specifically focused on the destruction. Not only was he focused on it, but he did an activity concerning it. Move on, so it's understood that in truth the destruction matters and brings about the goal of the building of the Beis Hamikdash. In other words, since he was putting the destruction possibility already into the Beis Hamikdash, that means that part of building a Beis Hamikdash is the destruction, meaning destruction contributes to building. Bir bezad explanation. This is churban abayis loy hoyel l'shem churban nasmei chas v'shalom chas chalil. Destruction of the Beis Hamikdash was not for the sake of the destruction itself. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Likutei shayodi tavi aliyah naus yoyis, but rather that a greater ascent should come about as a result of it. Yiridol tzorich aliyah, descent for the sake of an ascent. Until the building of the third Beis Hamikdash, there'll be an everlasting building. Then there will be the perfection in the building of the Beis Hamikdash. Because it'll be a building of Hashem. Migdash Adnai Kan Yedach, on the third Beis Hamikdash, it says it's the Migdash of Hashem that your hands prepared instead of ones that we built, Shlomo Melech and Ezra and so on. So that's going to be the ultimate level of the building of the Beis Hamikdash. So much because Rambam, that's what the Rambam wrote. The one of Shlomo's Habayis. Time that Shlomo Melech built the Beis Hamikdash, and therefore automatically he knew that it would be destroyed. Since it was a building of a human being, like the Zohar said. So he knew he's a human being, he's building, and therefore it's going to be destroyed. So then he built in it a place to conceal in it the Aron. He already set and inserted in the building initially already the room for its destruction. So that afterwards, to come about through the descent of the destruction, the ascent of the third Beis Hamikdash, that will bring the ultimate level. This idea that eventually it's going to be destroyed, is for the sake of the ascent that's going to follow it. Is emphasizing this actual action that Shlomo Melech himself did. Bana by Makim Lignas by Sa'aran, he built in it a place to conceal the Aron. Yesh by Snake Tzavis. In this activity, there has it has two extremes that are manifesting. Mechad is on the one hand, Moidad over the matter in the case Shabbais, because of the home is in such a way that eventually it's going to be destroyed. On the other hand, the goal and the purpose of building a place of its concealment is to assure the everlasting nature of the ark in the Beis Hamikdash. Through this it was assured that even in the second Beis Hamikdash, where there was no Aron, so so there was still in all the building, the actual building, which needs an Aron, like we mentioned before, that the Rebbe proves that the part from the expression of the Rambam that the Aron was actually part of the building of the building. It was not lacking any of it because it was part of the building still. Say the Mizu even more so. The matter assured us that the Aron itself will remain complete. Like we said before, that from the place of where the Aron remains complete, that's how the third Beis Hamikdash is rebuilt, just like the loose bone from which the body is rebuilt when Moshiach comes. According to this, we could explain also in the inner aspect of Shloishes al Shreinish Kos Varambam. That concerning the place that the Aron was concealed in. That means in hidden places. Amukos, deep places. Vakalkalos, winding or twisted places. Kach meramas harambam leilu shenoisa b'migdash haydezem gebana by makom lignas by Aron. The Rambam hints at the advantage that's added in the Beis Hamikdash by building in the Beis Hamikdash a place to hide the Aron. Though externally the matter was connected with the idea of destruction, that eventually it will be destroyed. Specifically and only through this descent, nasis idea tikun vatshuva yerida aliyah. So then, through this descent, through the repairing it and the tshuva for the descent, becomes about the asset, which is this galus bechinas matmoinios amukas. It becomes revealed the concealed deep places. What does that mean spiritually? Hamadreges, achin, nihilus, balakus, the most highest levels in godliness. On their own, they are deep concealments. In the plural, amik of amik nimtzana, deep, deep. Who will find it? Through an ordinary service. In a straight and direct manner, it's impossible to find it. That's why it's so deep. So how do you reach such a deep level, such a high level in godliness? It's not through doing our ordinary avodah. It's not through the avodah of tzaddikim. To be able to reach this deeper, deeper level of godliness, Dafkai the avodah tshuva, specifically through the avodah of tshuva, that comes after the person acted. Not the way Hashem created the person straight, but rather he acted he acted in a winding, twisting way. In other words, he went off the path. But now that he does tshuva, so that winding and twisting, nasas elu akalkolos lamal yusad, he's become winding and twisting in the positive. Hamshachas, hamatmoinias, hamukas, the drawing down of these deep concealed places. They cannot come down in a direct way from above. In a way of a winding fashion, what's called a rebounding light. Only through tshuva can this greater light come down. In other words, just like I'm going a winding way to reach it. I'm not going direct, because if you go direct, you'll never get there. You have to go in this winding way. Zayir Begoli Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi will be revealed in the third Beis Hamikdash Habinu Hanischi, the everlasting building. Sheiponav Yizgalav Meiru Meinu Mamish will be built and revealed speedily on our days Mamish Begula Mitzvah Shlema de Moshiach in the true and complete redemption through Moshiach.